Welcome back, Trinidad and Tobago. Joining us on set, Dr. Gregory Maguire. He is the co-editor, and we're talking about the oil and the book, From Oil to Gas and Beyond. Yes. A review of Trinidad and Tobago's model and analysis of future challenges, and everyone who has not only passed through the university system, but also who is even remotely interested in the energy sector. The name Dr. Gregory Maguire is synonymous with our local energy sector. Dr. Maguire, good morning. How are you?
I am fine, thank you, my dear.
Now, the book. Let's talk a little bit about the book. From oil to gas and beyond. Mm-hmm. The authors, the reason for this book. Why are we doing this book?
Well, actually, the book was the concept of Trevor Bupsing, who, as you know, was an energy sector stalwart. Mm-hmm. And Trevor had this idea of doing a book that records the Trinidad and Tobago's journey in the energy business. In 2008, because we wanted to celebrate 100 years of commercial oil production in Trinidad and Tobago. And we wanted to capture that history. In fact, the only book that I could recall is The History of Trinidad Oil by Higgins, is the only book that sought to capture that history before this. And so it's really a very important addition to the literature that we have. The book has 15 chapters, 9 authors, each of them very noted people in their own right. So
who are some of the names we're talking about?
We're talking about Kermit Waldron. We're talking about Bupsing himself, of course, who has 4 chapters. Anthony Paul, Rajinja Ram Logan, Anthony Bryan, Kirsten Coombs, Richard Braffett, and myself. Bajnath Surinath as well.
Now, the need for such a book, is it just a bunch of experts coming together to create, to say, you know what, let's just flex our expertise in this? The purpose and the need for this book?
No, there's a lot of analysis in this book. In fact, the title will tell you a review of the Trinidad and Tobago model and analysis of future challenges. So not only do we document what made Trinidad and Tobago successful, but also we look at some of the emerging challenges in the industry as we go forward, because obviously the world is changing, and what we did 100 years ago or even 40 years ago is not sufficient, or may not be the right strategy for going forward.
Now, from oil to gas and beyond, you talk about an analysis. What are some of the salient points? Let's identify the top 3 things that define the energy sector in Trinidad and Tobago will be what? And that's the cover of the book and what it looks like.
Well, the 3 things I think that is here would have to deal, let's just start with the value chain. And let's just start with the upstream strategy and the future resources and our whole approach to building and finding new resources, and that's covered here in great detail. The second thing I would think would be the downstream strategy that we employed, the Point Lisas model. There are a whole host of case studies in the book, for example, that seek to capture the past and draw lessons from it. Inside of those 2, you have the whole question of the leadership challenge and the communication challenge that goes with it. And I think the third big piece is the economy, and what we have how we have managed a resource-based economy and how we have managed in times of plenty. You know, those are to me would be some of the top issues inside of there.
Now, the resource base and how we've managed the economy. You've also spoke about the challenges that you see going beyond. So we've made that transition. If you had to say that we could have done something differently, what would you have in this book after the analysis? What did we learn? And then moving forward, what are some of the challenges you expect coming from the book?
Well, I think 2 things for me is, one, is that we have built up a lot of operating capacity. You know, we could operate plants, we could run rigs, we could do these things, but we've not really been able to build effective leadership to change, to take our place in the world. In other words, we still have Trinidad and Tobago. We have nationals working all over the industry, but we have no firms, and Trinidad and Tobago we have very few, Trinidad and Tobago firms that are exploring outside and then doing things. The second thing that I think we should have done, that we could have done differently, is with respect to the refining aspect of it and what has happened to the Petrotrin refinery, which has really stood still, I would say, over the last 40 years. Over the last, 40 years. Yeah. And then the third bit, I think, is, and one reason for that, of course, is that we've never paid sufficient attention to the whole business of local content and how do you develop your people, how much effort do you place in your people and how much effort do you place in building local firms and building local capacity. And therefore, that has not gone as well as it should.
Now, you know, looking at this, the bottom line, do you think that we as a country, that we've benefited from the energy sector? You have all the experts in this book. Well, after 100 years, should we be saying, yeah, we got this 100% right?
Well, we didn't get it 100% right. We're certainly living off of it.
How long can we live off the fat of the land?
We're living off the oil and gas industry, and we've done pretty well, you know, compared with some others. But it is unfortunate if we decide to sit on our laurels and not to push this forward. I think the energy sector has provided an excellent platform for growth, an excellent platform for external expansion out of Trinidad and Tobago, particularly in this time when you have new emerging nations and so on across the globe. And they all want to learn from the Trinidad and Tobago model, and they all want to learn from what did we do here right that they may adopt. And I think that in some ways we have not capitalized well enough on that opportunity.
Now, the book, who are you targeting?
We're talking to everybody. We're talking to lots of folks. We're talking to the energy sector professional who just wants to know about the sector. We're talking to the researcher. We're talking to policymakers, both in Trinidad and Tobago, as well as other emerging countries. We're talking to students who wants a useful reference text on the Trinidad and Tobago industry. We're talking in particular to policymakers, I think.
Let's hope so.
Yeah. We're also talking to companies, the smaller companies in particular, who are seeking to grow their business and who wish, in fact, to understand the context of the industry in Trinidad and Tobago.
Now, you're hoping to appeal to a wide variety, but yes. Let's talk about, you know, the technical language in the energy sector. Can I pick up the book and understand it? Can a university student pick up the book and understand it? And then can a man on the street pick up the book and understand it?
I would say that there are elements of the book that appeal to every sector and to people at all levels of the society. It depends on what, you know, some chapters are technical, some chapters deal with resources and so on, and that might appeal to the geologist and the seasoned professional. But there are other much simpler chapters on communication, the chapters on leadership. The writing style in the book is one that is not complex at all.
Well, thank God for that about the energy sector, right?
Yeah, I mean, some parts of it is just relating the history of things,
right,
and drawing lessons from it. Like I said, there are about 9 case studies in this book, which kind of track significant moments and significant developments in various companies and in various policy decisions over the past 100 years.
Do you think Trevor would have been proud of this book?
I think Trevor would have been extremely proud of this book. Of course, you know, he had another publication, Oil and Gas and
yes.
Development, The View from the South. And he really wanted to do this and to get this out of the way. We completed the manuscript, I think just before his death, we completed the first manuscript. And we've battled with it for the last 4 years in order to get it to this state. And so we're quite happy that it's now available.
And it's available at all bookstores?
It's available. We're going to be launching this book tomorrow, please God. This will be the official local launch of it, but it's available at bookstores in Trinidad and Tobago. It's also available on Amazon.
Go check it out, and it's dedicated, I guess, to Trevor.
It is dedicated to Trevor Bupsing and his tremendous contribution that he has made to Trinidad and Tobago and the oil and gas industry.
Looking at the book, taking from oil to gas and beyond, and the book was started by the late Trevor Bupsing, a stalwart of the energy sector, a man who helped shape what we enjoy today. And if you are Trini, I think you should get a copy of this book. We take a very short break. When we come back, we'll have more for you. Stay with us.